this one is actually a lot of fun. Establishing and maintains agreements has undergone quite a few different changes that are, I think, will highlight for coaches the importance, number one, of coaching philosophy. What is the scope, style, and principles of coaching? They actually added a glossary to the competencies, and in the glossary, you will find the definition of a coaching philosophy. So they've done a lot of work, and they, meaning the ICF, have done a lot of work to increase the clarity of the competency, and also even remove some of the nuanced language that I think was too much interpretation around. There's a commitment to working towards coaching goals, which has also been added. Not just brainstorming options and how-tos, but really clarifying the goal of the conversation and spending time there versus going straight to a how-to solutioning type of coaching model. And they've also included a lot of emphasis on respectful closure of a session, including what has the client learned from the conversation, what has shifted, what commitments will a client make. All of those things have become more important and more articulate in these competencies, or they are more articulated in the competencies. Continuous connection to the agreements throughout the engagement has also been highlighted. So this idea of checking in on progress throughout a coaching session, recognizing and addressing any shifts in the conversation from the original goal, and working with the client, like we used to say in the early competencies, which was to dance in the moment with a client. I think that they're bringing that energy back into this competency, where we're really dancing with the client in the moment that they are in, allowing for shifts and opportunity for clarification as the conversation goes on, while also setting a very narrow opportunity for progress and building momentum in a coaching conversation. So the clarifying of the agreement really works towards tightening up that coaching session, and also going deeper with the client, going deeper into emotions and values and what's really important about this coaching conversation that you're having. When a coach upholds agreements in coaching, in practice day to day, they are respecting the requirement for agreements to be present from beginning to end of contracting and engaging with a client, as well as respecting what it means to establish agreements within a coaching session itself. So they are having discovery calls, they're contracting written and verbally with clients. They are stating what coaching is and isn't, and clarifying any questions the client might have about that. And then when they move into the actual conversation, establishing agreements is all about allowing the client to explore what they want from the session, what their desired outcomes are, and making sure that the conversation stays aligned to those desired outcomes. When a coach is establishing agreements well, what we'll hear in the session is the coach really allowing the client to explore what's important to them in a session. We're allowing the client to own their desired outcome, but also their progress. And a coach will, for that reason, be exploring much more than just what do you want and what is your goal. They will also be exploring the meaning, the purpose, and the desired experience the client is looking for from the session. What does the client want to walk away with? What will be the measure of change? All of these questions are directed to clarify for the client what will be different after the coaching conversation. And that will also include conversation around values, emotions, language, exploring to evoke awareness and increase clarity for the client. New coaches, when establishing agreements, will often make the mistake of overtaking the goal for the client. And even if we back up a few steps, they may skip the discovery call. They may not contract clearly or well. They may not outline all of the things that need to be outlined in the contract. They also may not take the time to restate what coaching is and isn't in the early stages of an engagement, where a client may be new to coaching and the client is unsure of what to expect from the conversation. The other thing that you will hear in the conversation is the coach will overtake the goal. They may skim through the goal setting process and not be clear on what the coach she would like to get from the conversation. They also may assume the goal just based on what the coachee is saying. There may be assumptions made, and a coach will run with a goal that isn't really truly aligned with what the client wants. There also may be some paraphrasing and interpreting and opinionating that we typically don't want to hear in a coaching session. And at worst, the coach will set the goal for the client, which can happen in a early stages of a coaching practice. When a coach is becoming a coach and becoming certified, they might make that mistake. But what we want is that the coach really understands the value of partnering and creating space for the coachee to set their own goals and to really be owning their progress in a coaching session. So the other things you might hear are a bit of spinning, a lack of focus, a lack of alignment, and a coach that fails to check in on progress to keep the whole conversation aligned. Overall, establishing agreements is the most important aspect of the conversation itself when it comes to coaching. The ethics establish the groundwork. The mindset establishes the intention. The agreements really clarify what the value is for the client. And when a coach shows up truly curious from a learner mindset and wanting to partner in an 80-20 manner with a client, that is when the client will get the most out of the session. So I think that overall, to succeed with this competency, we have to really take a back seat as the coach in terms of not leading and not overtaking the conversation, and instead leaning into your curiosity to be able to evoke that awareness required to set very clear goals for a client conversation.